Leaving a Premier League team ahead of a European campaign to take over a recently relegated side is a bit of a strange career move, but we've got 19 clubs left to beat in Beat the 92. I've taken over Leeds United with the aim of ticking just 3 more clubs off our list this season and getting back into the Premier League next year. It was just a single season with Bournemouth and I'm now at my 4th club in 6 seasons and find myself back in the Championship, and somehow we've got a negative bank balance, so this is going to be fun. Erik ten Hag stepped in as Bournemouth manager after getting sacked by Manchester United 18 months ago, but good luck in the Conference League. The fixtures were released and we had none of the clubs we needed to beat until December, but then they all came along at once, just like buses. As the season began, we were predicted 4th, but I'd made some killer signings, spending 91 million on new players before the transfer window had even ended, bringing in a profit along the way. With relegation, it was unsurprising to see a number of players jump ship, but we didn't even meet them, so it didn't really matter that much. Charlie Crew left for our old friends at Portman Road, Jack Harrison went to Wolves, Kyle Walker-Peters went to Everton, Jeremy Ngakia headed to Ewood Park to League One winners Blackburn, whilst Ethan Ampadu went to Germany and Hoffenheim. Lewis Brunt went to Fulham, Max Wober went to Middlesbrough, and Anthony Patterson to Aston Villa. It was basically a fire sale. However, in the opposite direction, Jan-Paul van Hecke joined for $17.5 million from Brighton. Great defender known for a hero spell on loan at Blackburn a few years ago. Tobias Gullikson also stepped down from Leicester for $14.5 million, a great attacking midfield asset. New Gen Carlos Navarro was a huge summer target that we were close to signing, but unsurprisingly, he chose PSG over Leeds. But then he did take a loan move to make us feel better, and he's an incredible talent down the left-hand side of the pitch. But the marquee signing of the summer was Arda Güler. Out of favour at Real Madrid, the Turkish superstar was more than happy to come to Yorkshire for $40 million up front, with a potentially rising to $72 million with instalments and clauses. Next was Alex Kral, a veteran presence in the centre of midfield, and only cost us $16 million from Fenerbahce. Whilst Malo Gusto cost just $3 million for a permanent move from Chelsea for the right back. We needed a new goalkeeper and spent $5 million to bring Gavin Bazuna over from Southampton, whilst $19 million was also spent to bring Dominic Solanke up from Bournemouth to join his old manager. Now, he wasn't great for me in the Premier League, but he can definitely still do it in the Championship. Alfie Dorrington came in on loan from Spurs for more defensive cover, and we weren't done yet. On deadline day, I signed a Serbian wonder kid called Dusan Marinkovic from Red Star, Aurel Amenda on loan from Newcastle, and Adama Traore from Burnley. It was a ridiculous summer transfer window, 129 million spent in total on 17 players, with 29 players leaving the club. Welcome to the revamped Leeds United. We started the season winning 9 from 9 in all competitions and got handed a lovely draw in the EFL Cup at home to Premier League Luton Town, who we still needed to beat. We could get 4 teams this year now. Despite this start, Sunderland had matched us in the league, so we weren't exactly running away with things. We finally dropped points with a loss and a draw in the next 7 games, but we were still 2 points clear of Sunderland. Luton were no match for us in the cup. Petkov, who you'll remember from previous episodes, scored the opening goal from the penalty spot. McIntyre, not a new signing, he's a youth player, grabbed the second to cap off a lovely move. Petkov got his second from a great free kick just outside the area, and Edouard rounded off a great day and a 4-0 victory. We were drawn against Manchester United in the next round, so that'll be fun. League form continued nicely over the next few weeks before we reached December on our next club of interest. Oh, and Liverpool offered me the manager's job, and I accepted. I was going to have to try and delay them as much as possible until we'd beaten the remaining Championship sides. How many times will they let me push the button? The first delay was definitely long enough to beat Birmingham, and we took the lead inside 5 minutes thanks to Gullikson. The Blues tried to make things interesting with an equaliser before half-time, but late second-half pressure gave us the victory. Arda Güler peeling away to find space to put us back ahead, and then he turned provider as he cut back from the touchline to find Sessegnon for the third and final goal. Sheffield United were up next and were a much tougher opposition, even taking the lead inside 20 minutes at Ellen Road. But the second half was more of the same for our season so far. Arda from the penalty spot brought us level, and he did the deed a second time to give us the victory in less than spectacular fashion. Sometimes you do need luck on your side. Unfortunately, we were unable to get to the Barnsley game, but we still managed to beat 3 clubs as Leeds manager. Now it's time to go to Anfield and take over a struggling Liverpool side who sit 11th in the league table. Now, Liverpool are only 4 points back from European places, though, so a quick turnaround was definitely possible. Oh, look at that fixture list. It's incredibly kind. The 3 Premier League teams left to beat, Aston Villa, Chelsea and Man City, are all available before the end of the calendar year. I could be gone in 3 weeks. Now, Chelsea were up immediately in my first day, and it took a long battle to get a breakthrough, but finally it came in the 82nd minute. McAllister knocked back a cross and found Luis Diaz in loads of space, and he smashed home. Doak capitalised on some scruffy defending to get a second, and finally, after about 10 attempts, Chelsea were knocked off my list. Aston Villa provided another tough challenge, but 6 minutes in and we were ahead, with Gakpo cracking in a half volley after a poorly cleared corner. We doubled our lead before half-time, Gakpo involved again, this time throwing Doak through for a clean finish. Villa came back strong in the second half and pulled one back thanks to a Douglas Luiz penalty, and they were level in stoppage time after a corner that we couldn't clear. But the game was not done. Szoboszlai converted his own penalty in the 93rd minute, and it was 4-2 within another 60 seconds as Trent snuffed out an Aston Villa attack and led a charging counter, with Szoboszlai converting for his second in as many minutes. The trip to the Etihad ended the year, and we ended it in style. Liverpool players were lining up to take shots on the edge of the area, but it was Trent who did so and gave us the lead. Lewis pulled Man City level with a great long-range effort before half-time, but the deciding goal came shortly after the break, with Tchouaméni heading home from a corner to give us the 2-1 victory, and we knocked off all 3 Premier League clubs in less than 3 weeks. An unbeaten 6 games in charge at Anfield, and we were up to 6th place in the Premier League to close out to 2028. Now, there were just 13 clubs left on the Beat the 92 tracker, 1 in the Championship, 5 in League 1, 6 in League 2, and Crawley still toiling away in the National League. But after 19 days, it was goodbye to Liverpool, and I'm not entirely sure that I ever properly looked at the squad.
Sorry, what?
Literally a week later, and I'd found a new home. Leyton Orient of League 1 came calling, and I said yes for some reason. Leeds, Liverpool and Leyton Orient all in a single season. It was complete madness. But they were somehow sitting in the playoff places, and they'd been on a bit of a shaky run throughout December, so maybe the wheels were about to fall off. I got 3 home games to try and get things right before we travelled to Wigan for the first big game back in League 1. But that game got rearranged and we went unbeaten in January, winning 4 from 5 and moving up to 4th in the process. The squad needed lots of work, but it was very young and seemed to be doing okay, so only 1 transfer was made during the window, as new-gen youngster Jonah Michael came in on loan from Manchester United. We finally faced Wigan and needed every second of the game, with a breakthrough coming in stoppage time thanks to an Archibald free kick, and we kept on rolling through the 92. The game against Bristol Rovers was less nervy as we went ahead early thanks to a penalty, and then came on very strong in the second half. New loanee Michael combined with Hawkins on the edge of the area to double the advantage, and then youngster Mullin found himself in loads of space in the area and drilled home a 3rd goal. A late consolation was nothing to worry about, and we left 3-1 winners. More victories followed, and we got 11 games unbeaten since joining, which left us 3rd and well in the fight for automatic promotion, whether we want it or we don't. And we've got Notts County and Lincoln back to back, and they are the last 2 clubs that we can beat this season. Notts County were a relatively easy opposition as they struggled against relegation. A nice ball over the top allowed Hawkins to break through, and he cut inside to smash home a goal number 1. He was subbed not long after, and his replacement Archibald picked up where he left off, and we were 2-0 winners. Now, the Lincoln game was suspended, and after our biggest victory this season, at any club potentially, with 7-2 over Grimsby, we finally lost the game at home to Bolton after 14 games unbeaten, plus the 6 or however many it was at Liverpool, and dozens at Leeds. This has been a great season, but still 3rd place, playoff secured, and promotion on the table still. When we finally faced Lincoln, we were struggling to clear our lines early and allowed the home side to go ahead with a cracking long-range effort. But we fought back in the second half, with White heading home at the back post from Mullin's free kick, and then we doubled our lead with Hawkins putting Wallace through behind the defence, and his first time volley being a lovely way to cap off the victory and the season. Fantastic season that left us with just 9 teams left to beat, and we've been all over the divisions, and we were down to single digits with 4 more seasons left to go. We had 2 games left of the season against promotion rivals and sat in 2nd place in the league. Now, honestly, promotion would be a bit of a bad thing, as I'd have to leave Leyton Orient, with Barnsley being the only Championship team left to beat, and they've already been relegated. We could also see 3 more teams from League 2 getting promoted, meaning there would be 5 out of 9 in League 1, so I really ought to do my best to try and stay put. A loss to QPR and a draw at home to Coventry confirmed their promotion and our route into the playoffs. We missed out by a single point, and honestly, we could have done it if we tried a little harder. Charlton were an absolute pushover in the playoff semi-finals, and despite my best efforts, we smashed them 7-3 on aggregate. And in the final at Wembley, Stoke were being stubborn as well about beating us and needed extra time to get the job done. I refused to pull my keeper, but we did eventually concede 2 goals, and we would stay in League One. Now, after all promotions and relegations were through, there were 0 teams in the top 2 flights, 4 in League One, 3 in League Two, and now, annoyingly, 2 teams sitting in the National League. I'll start next season at Leyton Orient, but there's a very good chance that I'll be dropping down a level or 2 by Christmas.